Um, he's not coming?
You know what? I can start here if you want. And then do you want me to move over? Move over if I need to.
You know, Andy, I thought that about you from the
Here
onset.
we go. Good evening. It's now 5 o'clock, and I call to order the Victoria City Council workshop. Our workshops are informal, and with that, we'll dive right into our agenda. There is just one item on the agenda this evening, which is our 2025 budget workshop discussion. We'll hear from our department heads this evening, who will review budget pressures and highlight cost savings and operational efficiencies. And kicking us off this evening for that discussion is our Assistant City Manager, Tricia Pollock. Ms. Pollock, welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This evening, we're going to have a department budget overview. So our department heads are here to present. And they are also going to give you information on budget pressures and cost savings and efficiencies. So our first department head this evening is Alyssa Nelson with the Administrative Services Department. And the clicker's up there.
Oh, perfect.
Ms.
Look at
Nelson,
us.
welcome.
Hello, thank you, council members. Mayor, Trish, thanks for the introduction. Happy to be here, and I'm even more happy to present the Administrative Services Department. So as we know, this is mostly an internal-facing department, and it encompasses 3 core areas. Our city clerk's office, which also includes elections, facilities, and information technology. And really what these 3 groups are here for are service delivery, and specifically ensuring that all these people behind me are able to do the best job that they can do, that they have the tools, the resources, the equipment, that they are able to do their job the most effectively and most efficiently. Now, the other, what that really turns into is that, one, we're ensuring that that equipment, that technology, those tools are operating correctly. We don't want any downtime. We don't want to have anyone troubleshooting or having issues with any of their tools, technology, whatever have you, so then they can do their job. We also are ensuring that we're operating within the guidelines, the policies, the ordinances that each of you approve and bring forward. Those operating procedures are just as much as a tool as the equipment that we have. They are really showing us the way on how to do our job and best serve our citizens. So one of the other aspects of this area is to make sure that this team understands what those policies are, that they are transparent, that things like state statute are understood, or that this team knows where to find that information and how to comprehend it. We also want to make sure that for our residents that it's also a transparent process as well, that our municipal code is up online and people can find it easily, effectively, that it's written in a language that makes sense to the average person. And if they have any questions or they're looking for information, that they can call us, they can submit a data request, and that they're able to access the information that they're looking for quickly. The other piece that we do here is on an economic lens, that we're trying to find any opportunity to really stretch that taxpayer dollar, whether that's through grants, whether that's through volume procurement with our technology resources especially, and state contracts. State bidding really does help us ensure that we're able to buy what we need to, procure what we need to at the lowest amount possible. Speaking of that, budget pressures, what we're experiencing, just a few, is the first one on here is cannabis permitting. This is something that we know is going to happen quickly. The state legislature approved the sale of cannabis in 2025, starting January 1st. We are relying on our county and our state partners to help guide us through what that means as municipalities, as local government agencies, on the level of what does licensing and permitting mean. So one of the the opportunities that we've been able to have is conversations with Carver County on regarding what that process could look like for us. We do know, based on guidelines that the state has recently produced, is that for the permitting piece, we will have to, or a local government agency, whether that's us or Carver County, will have to issue a permit or a license for the sale of cannabis businesses in our community. That's going to take costs on our team to issue that permit. They're also requiring some sort of compliance checks that are part of that as well. So age verification, similar to what you might see in tobacco licensing, as well as sale compliance, ensuring that they're selling what they are supposed to be selling. Through conversations with Carver County has shared that they have interest in picking that up for cities within Carver County. So this is something we might need or want to pass on to them. We just recently received this information, so there's a lot of conversations that we do need to have before we make that decision, before you all make that decision. And we do know if that is the case, Carver County will charge us. So again, thinking budget pressures, we will have budget pressures if we manage that in-house, but we'll also have budget pressures if we pass that to Carver County as well. The second item on here is increasing population is going to impact our elections. Elections isn't something I quite covered too heavily on our department overviews, but as you can see on this picture, what we do for elections, because it is a huge piece of what we do, it's a huge part to what the city does, but also it's a fundamental role to what Claudia does and the city clerk's office is managing our elections. And this year we have 3 elections, so it takes up most of, if not all of her time going through that process. Carver County has a big handle on a lot of it. They administer the elections officially for the city of Victoria. But what they do is they pass on the baton to us to manage the election the day of. What that includes is finding a venue. You can see we have the Lions Pavilion on this photo here. We have 4 different polling locations, so it's finding 4 different venues for us to hold that election that are large enough to hold that election. It's also the equipment that are in this picture. Our DS200s, the actual thing that take your ballot. The poll pads that help with registration, the Omni ballot machines with helps with accessibility in the ballot process, and most importantly, it's the election judges that are on here as well. We hire out election judges; they are staff, temporary staff, in ensuring that we pay for their time to train, to be part of the day of helping navigate through the elections process. With our increasing population, with us expanding farther south, farther west, what we do know is that eventually we're going to have to look for another precinct, another polling location. So with that includes all the cost of the equipment that we need for that polling location, another venue, whether that's ours or we're renting it, and then again, another set of election judges to operate that polling place and location. So that's something that we, as we're expanding, are continuously looking at to ensure that not only do we continue 100% voting accuracy, but we're also ensuring that people are able to vote quickly or within a timely manner. And then lastly on here is technology unknowns. This is kind of a broad one. But what we're really trying to get here is that we know that we're becoming more and more reliant on technology, not only on a level of being able to do our job more efficiently and effectively, which has helped us do more programs, do more projects, but also on a level of data collection, reporting, statistics. We always say that we want to make the best decisions with the data that we have. Having more technology, being able to use technology to do that has really helped us be data decision makers. What we know is that we're going to need more software eventually. We don't know quite what that is, but we know eventually there's going to be more need for more software somewhere in some departments. We also know, and it's kind of the big scary words out there right now, is artificial intelligence, AI. We know, and what we've heard is that it's going to impact everything that we do and how we do it. We know it's going to impact the workplace. We just don't know how yet. So our team is being active in going to all the webinars, talking to our league friends, talking to our sister city friends, looking at national, what conversations are happening to get us more prepared on what the impacts of artificial technology could potentially be. cost savings and efficiencies, kind of on that same level of software. What we're doing is migration to the cloud. More and more of our softwares, instead of being on-premise or on-premises, where we actually host them on a server and then space it out between all of us on our network, we're putting them towards and into the cloud. What this helps us on a cost-saving standpoint is we are no longer needing to rely on the hardware required to host that software on some sort of hardware server. Not only do we have to pay for the server hardware itself, but we also have to pay for the backups of that server, which are expensive. We also have to pay for the maintenance, the routine maintenance of that server, that piece of hardware. Speaking of hardware, we're also becoming less reliant on hardware when it comes to the operation of our day-to-day softwares and programs. Instead of having a big piece of computer sitting in a back room that is prone to being shut off, malfunction, error, whatever have you, spills, we are now pushing it elsewhere so we can maintain and ensure that our programs, our softwares are still being able to run every day, 24/7. The other piece that comes to this that's not always thought about is because we're becoming less reliant on physical hardware, that means that IT closets that you might have seen 20, 15, even 5 years ago don't need to be as large. So when we're looking at things like the future fire station, which is a conversation you'll be having later this evening, the IT closet does not need to be as large as one might see from a few years ago, because we're not relying on this big chunks of hardware managing our data, storing our data, backing up our data the same way as they were years ago. We're also looking at proactive facility maintenance. This is the actual buildings that we're sitting in, that we're staffed in, ensuring that we are maintaining them so they're going to last year after year after year in future years to come. This can happen on a small level, whether it's making sure that our windows and door sealants are ready to go for winter time, that we're not losing any energy through just minor cracks. We're also doing things like pest control, making sure that we're not having any critters inside of our buildings, but also ensuring that we know if they are, where they're coming in so we can prevent that from happening. Again, making sure that we're not losing heat, energy through having openings within our spaces. Long term, we're doing things like building cleaning, exterior, preventing grime, dust, whatever have you, from eroding our exterior of our building facades. We're doing things like annual roof maintenance and inspection, so ensuring that there's no roof leaks or potential roof leaks or any sort of barrier damage that might have happened from the winter cycle, as well as the spring rain cycle. And then we're also looking at things like our rooftop units, our RTUs, ensuring the filters are clean, ensuring that the rooftop units are operating correctly and are not putting more pressure on our HVAC systems. And then last on this, and it goes back to technology, is we have access to cybersecurity funding sources. This is also going to go right into the department spotlights, where we're improving security at our end user standpoint. This is something that our IT manager really did hone in on this year, which is ensuring that our most vulnerable spot, our end users, are just as secure as some of our other hardware network places. There's a running joke in the IT world is that you can spend as much money as you possibly want on firewalls and preventing your network from being attacked, but really all it takes is one person clicking on a malicious link to shut the whole system down. So ways that we're doing that is through the state and local cybersecurity grant through the federal government and the state of Minnesota. We were able to procure a real-time 24/7 antivirus software. Typically what you'd see in an older form of antivirus is that it has a scanner that happens every 10 minutes, every hour. You might see it pop up on the side of your computer, sometimes every day. And what that software is doing when it's going through that scan is it's looking through your entire computer just to see like if anything's in there that could be malicious. And then it will alert you when they find something. What this real-time 24/7 reporting feature is that antivirus that we now have installed isn't waiting for that 10-minute scan to go off. It's going on 24/7. So anytime that someone might be looking at a website, they accidentally clicked on something they weren't supposed to, accidentally downloaded something, clicked on an email that might have been malicious, this program is alerting us real time, and it's moving forward with the policy that we've already set forth. So if it's happening at 2 a.m., it knows that if someone's clicking on something, that you need to remove that computer from the network. So it's completely isolating it from the rest of our systems. Depending on how large it is, it could completely shut the computer down just to ensure that it's off-site. It's not going to disrupt the rest of what we have going on in our computer network, and it's not impacting anyone else that happens to be working that time. Going back to the cost savings, we were able to secure a grant to help reduce the cost of that cybersecurity for the next 3 years. The second one is a successful 2024 presidential primary election. As I mentioned, we have 3 elections this year, which means that we are very, very busy in the city clerk's office. Not only did we have 100% voting accuracy, but we also took the time, or I shouldn't say we, but Claudia took the time after deconstructing and prepping for the next election to secure us about a $5,000 reimbursement grant from the state of Minnesota for the presidential primary. The state of Minnesota, through the Secretary of State's office, does allow for some grants for reimbursement for the presidential primary. It's not guaranteed, and they only do it for certain type of materials or items that you might be using for an election, things like ballot printing. They'll even do election judge training, some time card related things for having election judges. Like I said, it's not guaranteed, and you do have to have extreme data and recording to be able to secure that grant and those fundings. And we were just recently informed that we received just about $5,000 for that grant. And then lastly is improved technology to critical water infrastructure. As you can see on the screen, we have a Rhapsody Park. This is our Rhapsody Park shelter, as well as our booster station. If you look at those 2 doors, you'll see 2 little keypads next to them. They're little black boxes to the right of those doors. What those are security badge readers. So utilizing fiber and newly lit fiber and getting fiber to those locations, we're able to secure down and add extra security to some of our more critical sites within our community. So the booster station, our water tower, some of our wells. So now they all have security cameras, so we can see who's accessing that space that shouldn't be or should be. But we were also able to change from a hard key, which can be copied, stolen, to a key badge, which now we're able to monitor as well as turn on and off at will. And with that, I will stand for any questions, Council.
Very good. Thank you, Mrs. Nelson.
Thank you.
Any questions for Alyssa?
Alyssa, I just had one quick question.
You bet.
On the topic of elections and an additional polling place, we have in the works Mobile City Hall. Is there a possibility that that could be deployed as a polling place as long as we put it on a city piece of property that has an address listed to it and has access to parking and other accessible features?
Wow, that's a great question, and I don't know if that's something that I've thought about before, and I would have to look at state statute, but I believe there's rules and limitations around exactly what is a polling place, specifically to the size, the security of the space. That's probably our number one issue when it comes to our polling locations, or not number one issue, but our number one concern when we're looking at setting up our polling places and ensuring that ballots can be in a secured, locked location, that the DS200s are in a space that cannot be tampered with, and having an open platform such as that, as much as that sounds really cool, I wonder about the security of that space. The other piece that I question is we do have a lot of electricity that we need for an election. We probably wouldn't be able to use that without having some sort of electrical components. But I do see City Manager Hardy's hand up.
Please, Ms. Hardy.
Thank you, Mayor, Councilmember Ivansky, members of the council. One of the things I just wanted to note is as we're looking to develop south and west, we're actively engaging in conversations about potential polling locations. So for example, in the Victoria South development that you all just approved, some of the conversations that we've had with the developer and the builder for the the townhomes and then the community building that's going in there, is that they design that in such a way that it could accommodate a precinct. And that would make a great location for Precinct 5. And that's currently what we're targeting. But as we continue to grow and expand, we'll have to have similar conversations and discussions using all the criteria that Alyssa just noted. So,
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Any other questions, council? For Ms. Nelson? All right. Very good.
All right, next up is our Fire Chief Dave Schoger with the community safety presentation.
Chief Schoger, welcome. Our brand spanking new
Yes.
fire chief. Still
Thank you,
got the
Mayor
new
and
shiny
Council.
marks on him.
Yes, thank you very much. Well, thank you for having us tonight, and look forward to this quick presentation. So the Community Safety Department, or Public Safety Department, is made up of 3 different departments, similar to, I guess, the administrative group. We've got our Fire and Emergency Services, or the Fire Department group. We've got our Building Inspections group, and then we've got our newly minted CSO program, who folds right in there. So those departments are made up. As you can see the picture up here, some new faces in there. Trenton and myself, of course, the rest of our 30 firefighters who are paid on call within the fire department, as well as our building department made up of Gina, our permit technician, Scott, who is our building official, and then our 2 building inspectors, Mick Kaler and Eric Wall is our newest employee in the city. And actually, I think he's getting introduced tonight later on. So, and then last but not least, certainly there is our community service officer. Her name is Rachel Dorff, and she's been with us since April 11th. So, budget pressures. Kind of a perennial topic here. The increased service demand that we've got in the fire department is continually a pressure that we have within the department. Calls for service for the fire department were 438 last year, and currently we are at about 5% over year for our total for the year. So we're planning on continuing that trend moving forward and going up year after year as our population continues to grow and the needs of the community continues to grow as well. We will, of course, always see those. I plan on seeing those numbers go up every year. The building department budget is driven by new homes. In 2023, they were budgeted for 144 new homes. The true number was 210. The 2024, that was the 2023 budget, was for 144 homes with 210 actual. The 2024 budget was for 130, and we are currently at 106 to date. Equipment costs continue to go up. It's a big thing that's a driver for us with our budget pressures. Fire department equipment is necessary, and unfortunately, when the fire department name's attached to it, typically it's quite expensive. Continues to be that. Turnout gear has gone up to $4,500 a set this year. That's, again, a big rise, about 12% over it was last year. So continues to grow. All gear continues to go up, except for we did just order some helmets. They've actually come down a little bit, so that's good news, I guess. The new fire station is and will be a budget pressure. We'll learn more about that tonight in our next meeting, but it is going to be continue to be a pressure for the fire department. With cost savings and efficiencies, we continue to search out grants. This year, we have received $2,400 from the Minnesota Board of Firefighter Training and Education for $2,400. We just received a grant for $1,500 for Centerpoint for some new ice rescue suits. And the Victoria Lions graciously have donated $10,000 in the last calendar year for new truck equipment. So those are all places and things that we are working, and we'll continue to search out new ways to find grants and places to find funds. Technology is something that we have worked very hard over the last year to leverage some of those efficiencies within using FirstDue. It's our platform that we're using for software for scheduling as well as call response. We have also incorporated a platform called Lexipol. It is a device that we're able to use for our SOPs, standard operating procedures, and SOGs, which are our guidelines that we use for the fire department. It's been a very good platform for us to be able to get everybody on board and trained up without fail. for our firefighters to get educated on how we are and will be proceeding with our operations in the fire department. Most recently, we have integrated BSNA Cloud. It's the new version of BSNA. It's a software platform that we're using for our inspections throughout the entire city. For many different devices we've used it, but specifically here within inspections, both for fire and building. We're expecting that that's going to show help improve the inspection process and make it a little less complicated, I suppose. It's going to make it streamlined. We're going to be able to do it on site and be able to have a tablet or computer on site and actually complete those inspections in the field rather than having to come back to the office to complete those inspections. We've been increasing our duty crew shifts. I believe that this is going to help provide us with some cost savings as we're moving forward, in that we won't have so many firefighters responding to every single call. We're going to have people in place at the station providing better service to our community with quicker response. About half of our response time, typically between 8 and 9 minutes from a regular paid on call response, we are able to get on scene, so somewhere closer to that 5 minutes. So if you've got people at the station that are ready to respond, it's always a better outcome for our residents. The added additional benefit to this is going to be providing our firefighters with better experience. We think about engagement with our firefighters all the time, and if I was a firefighter who lived far away from the station, and the majority of the calls that I was called to, I arrived at the station just in time to wash a truck. It's not nearly the experience that we're looking for our firefighters, and what we're looking for them to be able to do is have the experience to be competent and good at their job, and doing that requires us to get in the field. Having our opportunity for our firefighters to schedule their own hours as a duty crew shift is going to, one, give them flexibility in their life, and to give them the opportunity and the responsibility of having those touches with our patients and in those fire calls. So it's going to be a very good thing, a win-win, definitely. We've also implemented the station crew this year. Mid-second quarter, we started setting in place a station crew, which is a Monday through Friday operation, depending on the week, and staffed by our full-time firefighters, Trenton and myself, as well as our paid-on-call firefighters that are full-time city employees, that being Zach and Brady. We check in with each other every day and make sure that everybody's available for calls, but the intent of this is to be able to provide basically a duty crew during the day, during working hours, providing our community with one quick response, which we were getting anyway with the same staff that are available. But an additional benefit to this is that we don't have to be paying paid-on-call firefighters for arriving to the station for a call that we're able to cover with the 4 of us that are on staff. So it's been a huge benefit.
Chief, can I interrupt you for just a question? You said we have 30 on-call,
Paid-on-call firefighters.
paid-on-call firefighters. So as our population increases and we are kind of transitioning over to this duty crew model, how long do you think those 30 paid-on-call firefighters will be sufficient for our community? Or are you looking to grow the fire department?
We're always looking to add to a point. I think that 30 to 35 is going to be the right number for a long time. As we continue to look forward and as we're developing our duty crew model, we really think that having the ability to have what essentially become part-time firefighters is that our firefighters then get to schedule their hours. As we open up more and more duty crew shifts, I think that we'll be able to field and fill those duty crew roles very sufficiently with that number of firefighters, or approximately that number of firefighters.
Okay, very good, thank you.
I'll go on to highlights quick. A highlight for the CSO, Rachel, as she's continuing her education within her role. She's been going through her EMT training. She's just finished up all of her classwork with that and is currently in her skills portion. We'll be finishing that up in the next week and getting ready to test for her EMT. When she completes that, then she will then be responding alongside the fire department to our medical calls, and it'll be a big benefit for us as a response group, getting more people who are well-trained to go to medical calls, which make up about 70% of our call volume. 2 of 5 of our this year's probationary firefighters have completed all of their required training and are ready to receive their black hats. They were both firefighters that had come to us with previous experience, so they didn't have to go through the academy. So they either finished their EMT training, which one of them was able to successfully do, or complete some other in-house training that got them to the place. So we've got 2 firefighters that are coming off probationary status, in the next couple of weeks. The other 3 are getting ready to start their academy, their fire academy, and have all finished their medical training. So we're doing very well on that. We will be kicking off a recruitment process for 2024 in the next couple of weeks. Actually, our meeting is set for September 11th. So if you know anybody who might be interested, please send them our way and let me know. We are also exploring adding or looking towards the potential for adding another full-time position within the fire department. We're looking at a community risk reduction specialist role. What that role might be would be somebody who's going to be doing community outreach, education, as well as inspections and fire prevention training, and also call response. It's going to be an important role. We're just kind of right now in the very beginning stages of planning for that. As far as our buildings department, in 2023, they completed 4,800 inspections, and this year they have already completed 2,494 inspections. So, very busy group of people, and I believe we will continue to get busier, I suppose, is the best way to place it. So with that, I think that's all that I've got. If there's any questions, I would be happy to field them.
Very good. Anything for Chief Shoger? All right. Very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jen Burrington with the Community and Economic Development presentation.
Good evening, Ms. Brewington. Welcome.
Hello, Mayor and Council. Good to see you all tonight. So I lead the community development team, and basically what the majority of our work is planning and zoning. So we oversee land use applications. We ensure that the development aligns with our comprehensive plan. We also review development proposals, rezoning requests, and ensure all compliance with local ordinances. And we also promote economic development within that team. So we work to attract new businesses, we support our local businesses, and we try to attract outside investment. All right, some of our budget pressures. The first one I want to talk about is our increased demand for services. So as Chief had just mentioned, as we grow, there's a new need for infrastructure, utilities, transportation, and a variety of housing throughout the community. And this puts a strain on other departments such as our public safety, our road networks, our parks, and any existing infrastructure capacity that we have. We also have community expectations and amenities that the residents require and request. Residents have expressed that they want amenities such as parks, entertainment, cultural and social spaces, and those all take money. They also take land, time, and planning efforts as well. However, with those maintenance, or with those items, comes long-term maintenance and also accessibility and available of land that we possibly don't have, and that impacts that greatly. There's also challenges around competing priorities, so balancing what we have currently and then balancing new items and new projects that we have within the city. And then also there are issues with limited funding sources. So when we talk about having new projects in the community, new placemaking items, we need to find creative ways to fund those. So grants, public and private partnerships are things that we've been exploring the last few years here. And we really try to add more tools to our toolbox, and we think big about business recruitment. Things such as micro lending programs, revolving loan funds, forgivable loans like that. Those are things that can help attract businesses and outside investment within the community development team. So some cost savings and efficiencies. So we have streamlined our development process. So we have a really great team here that starts off when we talk with developers. We host pre-application meetings. So that really gives us the opportunity to talk with that developer face-to-face, give them our goals and priorities for the community, talk about the wants and needs that our residents want, and then just discuss any concerns that we would have right away. This saves them time, energy, money before they put dollars into their projects, and we're just very transparent and open with them about our needs and wants here in Victoria. So that's a process we've started and it's really stuck to this last year, and we feel it's been very beneficial. We also have digital tools and technology, so all of our applications are online. There's online portals for permit applications, tracking, and approvals, and that just reduces our paperwork, increases our efficiency, and helps us keep on track and update those folks that we're working with on the status of those applications and permits that they had applied for. We also have an enhanced development website. So with the help of our great comms and IT team, we have improved our online applications, like I had mentioned, things from code enforcement to development applications. Our community development page really is a one-stop shop. It also gives residents updates on projects, lets them know where projects are located, maybe if there's any news on a project or something that might impact their day-to-day. We try to get that information on there as quickly as we can. And then again, we're always looking for those additional grants and partnerships. So who have we not met with? Who have we not worked with? Where are those untapped resources and organizations, not only within Carver County, but statewide, countywide, federally? There's federal EDA grants that we could apply for, things that we just haven't had the capacity to do yet when it comes to grant applications. So that's something that my team and I are trying to really focus on this year, is where do we find those funds that we haven't utilized before, and where do we qualify for that money? Some department spotlights. So we are fully staffed, which is great. That's been a challenge of ours here within our department, but that has allowed me, with my economic development hat on, to really go out and meet with those partners in our community, talk with our businesses, talk with our residents, talk with the developers, get the feedback that we want from them, develop those relationships, and that really truly helps us create those great projects that we want here in Victoria. I also mentioned earlier that website is a one-stop shop for our residents as well, not only just developers and business owners, but we really feel like that gives them information on maybe what's going on in their back door, in their neighborhood. We feel we're very approachable, so we have that ability to connect with residents when there are some concerns and they have questions about projects. We also have done some ordinance revisions and updates, and these really help us to adapt to our growth and our development within the city. It also helps enhance public safety, economic development, as well as promotes sustainable growth and enhances the quality of life within Victoria. As you know, we're going through some major changes right now with some of those that you'll be seeing down the pipeline here that my team's working on. So we're really hoping to get those clear and transparent for residents and developers so they know what they're applying for and know the rules when they come to develop in Victoria. And then we've seen an increase in economic activity. So everyone has noticed all the housing additions in Victoria, along with business growth. I'm happy to announce that we have 5 new businesses in the last year at Victoria, totaling about 30 employees. So we're going to start seeing that continued growth, especially with our South Growth development, with commercial activity coming down the pipeline. We're going to see a lot of those, hopefully high-wage jobs that will go back into our economy here in Victoria. And I think that is all I got for you.
Very good. Any questions for Ms. Brewington?
More comment than anything. Awesome job on the reach out. I've heard a lot of positive things from businesses and residents from that side of it. The one thing is roars, and I think there's a lot of interest on what's going in there and this and that. So anything we can do to increase the awareness on that. Networking is big because we know a lot of people outside of the community that, from a business standpoint, and so let's just continue to think about those outreach activities.
Very good. Yeah, and one other thing I wanted to call out, the online application and permitting process. That's an amazing enhancement for our residents. They don't have to take off work to come down to City Hall to apply for a permit now. They can do it online, which is really helpful.
And they have access to GNR, Permit Tech, and the billing team, who are amazing, and we really pride ourselves in getting back to residents and folks right away. So that's something that we take, we really take that to heart when we're in our dirt meetings. We talk about how do we get back to that person right away? What are those answers that they need? We really try to work together as a team and collaborate. So I'm really proud of the group that we have when it comes to, one project being worked on is sometimes worked on by 12 people. So we're all hands on deck here.
Very good. All right, thank you very much. Up next,
Next is Jenna Smith with Parks and Recreation.
Ms. Smith, another one with bright new shiny marks. So just, how long have you been with the City of Victoria, Jenna?
Hello, good evening, Mayor and
Yeah.
council members. I have now officially been with the city for just over 2 months.
2 months, very good. Wow, that time went by fast.
Yes.
All right, please.
Absolutely.
Ms. Smith, welcome to your first budget meeting.
Well, thank you. All right, so for the Parks and Recreation Department, we do have 3 main areas that we focus on. The first one is our physical spaces of parks and trails. With our parks and trails, we have a lot of programmable spaces. We have a lot of spaces that people can utilize on their free time that we maintain and operate. So we've got plentiful walking trails. We've got a lot of natural open spaces. We have recreation facilities as well as those different play spaces like playgrounds and things like that. The second areas are recreation, so we've got a lot of city events and programs. These are more actively programmed things that involve a lot of staff time, and so these things encompass things like our summer camp programs, our Wonders of Wasserman Camp, our public events like the Truck Rodeo, the Splash Pad, Afternoons of the Park, Concerts in the Park series, things like that. We've also got the Victoria Recreation Center, which is kind of a combo of both. It's both a facility and a programmable space. So within this facility, we've got a lot of spaces that can be rented and utilized for public needs, whether it's private party rentals, whether it's people utilizing the spaces for games. We've also got the fitness center in there. So we've got a lot of fitness programs that exist in the space. We've also utilized the space for some of our in-house programs, things like that. The next topic for the budget pressures, the first one I'd like to mention is the aging facilities and playgrounds. So Victoria has a lot of wonderful outdoor spaces, a lot of facilities, things like that, but many of them have been in use for quite some time. And so with that, some of the increased budget pressures are maintaining those facilities, doing necessary repairs, upgrades, things like that that come along. Typically things like playgrounds have like a 20-year cycle that you need to go around and replace, and we have quite a few that are up on the docket for that. So the main goal for this one would be to take proper care of the facilities that we have so that we can create a space that is providing quality services as well as safe spaces for people to recreate. For the next area, we've got the increasing cost of materials and labor. So a lot of areas are being hit with increasing cost of supplies and equipment and things like that. With this, we do have a lot of programs that are free and open to the public. And so in order to be able to provide these supplies, we do need to get creative on how we find that funding, as well as increase our sponsorships, because not only are supplies increasing, but those labor costs for our contracted programmers or things like our performers for the concert series have also increased. Lastly, we've got the development of dedicated parkland. So Victoria is growing. We've got a lot of new developments that are coming our way, and with that, in compliance with park dedication laws, we have acquired a lot of new park spaces and things like that. It's incredible. We have a lot of opportunity to grow and enhance. However, it does mean that there's an increase of cost, because there's an increased cost of outreach in order to identify what the community needs are. Additionally, there's the cost of developing the land to meet the needs of what we're looking for. And then there's the long range planning for the park maintenance that will be involved in upkeeping those spaces. Next, we've got the cost saving and efficiencies. And so with all of the wonderful facility rentals that we have, we also have a new position that started in January of this year. This is a recreation programmer that focuses on facilities, and with the capacity of the staff member, we've been able to utilize those spaces a little bit more, because that staff has the capacity to do more tours with the community members, enhance our rental process, and overall enhance the quality of utilizing these spaces as rental opportunities. Next, we've got the utilization of online systems for streamlining processes. So some new things that we've got this year. In collaboration with our communications team, we have some forms that have been put online to increase the ease of use for getting things like performance applications for our concerts in the parks, or collecting information from people who are interested in volunteering in our programs or in our parks, or doing park cleanups. So we've got all of these forms that are available online that make it really efficient for people to indicate their interest. We can then follow up with them, and it creates a more enhanced process for those that are interested in those activities. Additionally, we've got an enhanced process of addressing park maintenance issues. So we have had forms that have been online, but we've improved how those are communicated. Additionally, we've created a new process of how those forms are handled and who gets the information. And so it kind of creates a workflow that's going on within accepting these new requests in park maintenance, so we can prioritize and get the right people out there. The ones that will be doing the work will be the ones that will be getting that information. So for the program, some spotlights that we've got going on. Starting in June, we started the painting project at the Victoria Recreation Center. And so with that, it has been going on, and we are on the last leg of it. So we've got our lobby areas that's getting worked on now. And this painting project is doing just some upgrades that are revitalizing the space, putting it on brand with the city's colors, things like that, and making it feel very light and fresh. So it creates an even more welcoming environment for our users. Additionally, at the Recreation Center, we have included additional security cameras. So with the addition of these security cameras, it increases both the observation of our participants so that we can provide safety, so we can monitor and make sure that if somebody's gotten hurt or something like that, we can increase our response time, as well as just security of the building and all of our patrons that use the spaces. Lastly, we've got the Parks and Recreation survey that was conducted last year, as well as the council workshop that happened in fall of 2023. All of this information together has helped shape the vision that we have moving forward and identifying those areas that we need to focus on so that we meet the needs of both our residents and the direction of council.
Very good. Questions for Ms. Smith? Those were some great pictures. Thanks to the
You can
drone
thank the
team.
comms team
Yeah,
and our drone.
the drone driver. Is that the pilot? They're called a pilot, not a driver. Any questions? All right, they're easy on you this year. Very good. Thanks, Ms. Smith.
Next is Kara Guerin with engineering.
Ms. Guerin, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I'm sure you can guess what I'm going to talk about. Just department overview, same team, the Focus Engineering team supported by our very many consultant partners who help provide engineering services to the city. But I'm going to move on to budget pressures to talk about everything coming our way. So this is a image that you've seen over the last couple of years focused on the transportation projects that we have headed our way. So we have 150 million plus or minus, depending which numbers we add together, of transportation improvements headed our way. The city has a city share of costs that I'll cover in a little bit more detail. We continue to have aging pavement, so we are starting the process of our mill and overlay project. We have our second year of improvements starting hopefully soon. And then, of course, like others have mentioned, we're all dealing with increasing costs for the work that we do. But cost savings and efficiencies continue to come through partnerships, especially working with the county and the other communities that we are partnering with for these transportation projects, as well as utilizing our professional services pool to help provide services efficiently. But what I really wanted to talk about with my time here today is to highlight some department spotlights related to the transportation projects. This has been a pretty big undertaking for my department, but also supported by other city departments. So I have to give a shout out to the comms department because they've been doing an excellent job in helping get the word out and engage the public on all of these projects that are coming up. But I did want to highlight a couple of things budget related relative to these three projects noted here. First, the Highway 18 project. So this is the long-awaited paving of the road behind the Arboretum. The design is 95% complete for that project, and they will be issuing bids hopefully sooner than later for that project. We'll probably see some off work happening over the winter, so tree clearing, off-road work, so road occurring outside of the roadway through the winter. But that's scheduled for construction in 2025. What I do want to note there is that's right now the estimate's a little bit over 20 million for those improvements, and the city's cost share for that project is 0. So that's pretty remarkable. That project is being primarily funded by state bonding funds, so your local legislators helped secure funding for this project from the state, and then of course county sales tax fund and county regular funds that they use for road improvements. The next one, the Highway 5 and 11 project, so that is over by Dairy Queen, improvements to 5, and then up County Road 11. That design is about 60% complete, also scheduled for construction in 2025. The estimated cost of that project is sitting around 10 million right now. We'll get revised estimates after they get through the 60% plans. But the project partners, primarily led by the county, have secured $7 million in funding for that project. So from outside, that would be state and federal funding. And so the balance of the 3 million for that project will be coming from a combination of MnDOT funds, county funds, and then city funds. So the city does have a cost share on that project. Lastly, the Highway 5, the big Highway 5 job, as we've all started to call it, which includes improvements to Rolling Acres Road. That is a $115 million project, is the current estimate ballpark for that project. To date, the project partners has secured $68 million in outside funding through a whole host of different grants from the state and federal government, including congressionally directed spending that we were able to get through our representatives and senators. So the balance of that, about 38 million, is coming from county sales tax money. So from the residents or people who spend money in Carver County. And then the balance will be from city, MnDOT, and county, regular county funds. So all in all, we're sitting at about 9 million in the city's share of funds. From 2024 to 2028, we'll have 4 million in gas tax money, the city will, that we can use towards that 9 million. And the balance will come from utility funds and bonding. So Trish and I spend a lot of time together with these numbers. This is the latest round of numbers that I got in June. We'll get updated numbers again after the plans move through another phase of process, and then we'll get all those numbers refined. The county continues to apply for funding for the Big 5 job, and so any opportunities for funding that can reduce the city share is certainly part of the puzzle moving forward. So I think with that, that's all I have today.
Very good. Thanks, Ms. Guerin. Lots of big numbers about transportation, but what a great way to leverage the smaller, it's a large investment for the city of Victoria, but it is a smaller portion of those projects. But questions, council, comments? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Public Works and Brady Lee, our Public Works Director.
Mr. Lee, also brand new in his role. Welcome.
Also brand new, yes. Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. We're going to talk about some public works stuff. So department overview. As the city has grown, so has our public works department. We've been able to kind of separate each person into their own little area. So we have a utilities department, which is going to be your water, sewer, and stormwater, which is going to have 5 full-time employees in it. One runs the water treatment plant most of the time. One's kind of the water stuff that's going on, sewer, and then we have 2 full-time stormwater employees in there as well. We have a streets department with 2 full-time employees that are covering blacktopping, the gravel road maintenance, the sign maintenance, ditch mowing, things like that. We have 4 full-time employees in parks, which are going to be covering the 26 active and passive parks that we have throughout the city of Victoria. So there's endless stuff for them to do. And then we were able to acquire 4 seasonals this year. One of those seasonals is actually moving up to full-time, and then we added another seasonal last week. So we're kind of still at that 4 range. We have another seasonal coming in August. Is going to be a little bit more of a temp employee. Hopefully he's here through December. So that will be nice. We do have 2 seasonals that are leaving this week. So we are going to be a little short in parks, but we're trying to backfill and do as best we can. We still maintain 52 miles of streets, 56 miles of sewer and water around there, 26 active and passive parks, and about 25 miles of trails. So there is a massive undertaking maintenance-wise out there for our department. Budget pressures, kind of common theme tonight is increased maintenance, additional maintenance costs and investments needed for equipment. As the city grows, there is going to be additional equipment needed to maintain the city, just like getting a new plow truck next year is going to be an additional one because we have so many miles of roads that we are maintaining. But also materials, so it's not just a mill and overlay project anymore. Sometimes we are digging down and replacing water main, replacing storm sewer pipe, replacing sewer pipe in the area if need be, which also adds additional cost to projects that we're not planned for right away. And then with the growth of the city, you also have additional staff. We do an awesome job providing the services that we do, but with the growing city and the growth down in the south area and west, we are only adding, so we are gonna need additional staff in the future to maintain the services that we do provide. Infrastructure, we have some huge infrastructure things coming. Future water storage, hopefully we can get that property through development, but a new water tower is gonna be a huge undertaking, as well as a new water treatment plant that will be needed in the south growth area to serve all those residents down there and continue with the growth. And then also facility improvements. I mean, the fire station is old. The current one that we are in, that's gonna need some improvements when we take it over. The Public Works building also, as we're increasing staff, we're gonna need more break room space, more meeting space, just more space for all this equipment. Hopefully with the acquisition of the existing fire station, that will help out a lot in that department, but there's still gonna be more. Leak detection is kind of a big thing that has just started in February. The difference in water that I send out of the water plant and what Trish bills every month is about $1.5 million to 2 million. So we are losing 1.5 million to 2 million gallons somewhere in the city, and I don't know where. So we are starting to investigate down that process of where could this 1.5 million gallons of water be going. We do have a lot of water main that goes through swamps and wetlands, so hopefully it's not in there, otherwise it's gonna be very difficult to find. But it is something that is on our radar that we're trying to nail down and find where this missing water is going. And then with the fiber build out, MetroNet started late last week. That's just gonna be a huge undertaking for all of the public works staff, specifically with locates. All of them have full-time jobs within the city doing other things. Adding all of the locates that we're gonna be adding with this fiber build out is gonna be massive and a huge undertaking. So it's gonna kind of be trying to prioritize the work as much as possible. Some of the stuff might have to go to the back burner and wait a year or two until this fiber build out is complete. But we do have another fiber company knocking on the door. So hopefully we can kind of get the process nailed down, but that is gonna be a huge undertaking with locates. It could be 1 to 2 guys full-time every single day until the snow starts to fly.
Brady, say a little bit more about that. Why is that on our staff?
So we need to mark our infrastructure. So we have MetroNet fibers coming in, they're boring in the road right away, and that's where all of our utilities are. So we have sewer, we have water, we have some connections, we have drain tile, we have storm sewer, all within the road right away. It's our job to locate it so it doesn't get hit. Now, the bigger thing is with the sump connections and the drain tile, those are kind of right at the depth that MetroNet will be going. So trying to mark those infrastructure pieces that we have so they don't hit it is key, but also it's always a different depth that MetroNet will be going, as well as our utilities are at a different depth. So trying to look through record drawings and record plans, finding out what exactly where we can mark it, and not all sump connections are locatable. So I mean, we can give our best estimate as where it is, but finding it exactly is extremely difficult. That's where we're leaning on Kara's team to help out with the record drawings and stuff like that. So just to reduce them hitting our infrastructure.
Thank you.
That one. Cost savings and efficiencies, water conservation compliance. So we've had a huge water conservation push the last few years with the drought, especially from 22 into 23. We had a pretty good increase in population, but our demand on the water system wasn't that bad. We were able to keep up just fine, which is going to show that the monthly billing is certainly paying off and our water conservation efforts are paying off throughout the city. But also you can see the little blue line right in June, that's at about 30 million. So this last June, we pumped about 30 million gallons worth of water. Last June, a year ago, we pumped 80 million. Now, 98% of that I will say is because of the rain, because we've had a super wet spring and a wet summer. But you can just see that pumping 50 million gallons less because of the weather is a huge up for our water plant. It's not nearly as stressed as it normally would be this time of year. So that's definitely been helping. Equipment maintenance. We're starting a vehicle maintenance program through our GIS, and we have a program in there so that it will notify us when an oil change should be due on a certain piece of equipment, and we can also log prices and what we fix and when we fix it, just so we can get a better idea of what we're spending on vehicle maintenance. and then also kind of be able to forecast what will be upcoming a lot better. We have a bunch of lift station upgrades. All of our lift stations currently communicate via radio to either the water tower, and then it goes over to the water plant, and it's all line of sight with this radio. So I mean, if the wind blows, if it's too hot, if there's a storm that comes by, we lose communication with the lift stations, and that sends out an alarm. So the on-call person is always coming in to check to make sure the lift station's okay. When it's just a communication failure, 9 times out of 10 it's okay. But we're always paying that overtime for this employee to come back. So we've looked into, and we are upgrading every lift station to cellular, which is gonna be a lot more consistent connection. So we hopefully won't be having all of those callbacks that are just people showing up, making sure it's okay, and go home. We won't be having those anymore. So that should be a huge cost savings. And then we're also looking into a work order system, just trying to make Public Works a little bit more efficient and being able to schedule the work that needs to be done a lot more efficiently. This is also going to be done through our GIS program. We've been paying for a program in there that is currently being built out so that we can give out work orders to people and give out work orders to certain staff. And we've also been utilizing the Revise online system that the residents use as well. We've added all the Public Works staff onto that, so that now myself and our superintendent are able to schedule work with our employees instead of them being in the middle of a job, us calling them, go do this right now. It can be more on a scheduled basis. So that will increase our efficiency a lot. Department spotlights, new Public Works Director, that's me. Been in it for about a month and a half, and I'm super appreciative and glad for the opportunity. Can't thank you enough. I was able to backfill my position as a utilities superintendent with a public works superintendent. So that person has a little more reach over the streets and the parks department, and then a little bit of utilities if need be. My specialty was a little bit more utility based, so I was able to get him into the streets and the parks maintenance areas, and he is gonna be doing a lot more of their day-to-day operations, but then he also has a heavy utility background, so he can help out in that area as well. So he has a little bit more reach over all of Public Works. His name is Ryan Lowe. You'll be meeting him later for the council meeting. We were able to add stormwater to the utilities department and add an employee. So now we have 2 dedicated stormwater employees. Stormwater had kind of been on the back burner of Public Works. Just, it's not a huge priority on the day-to-day basis, but as all the development has been happening, there's more and more inspections that need to be done. Our ponds need to be inspected a lot more. There's erosion control inspections that need to happen after every time it rains, and all these developments that go on, and it's been raining a lot, so there's been a huge drain on them. And we've just noticed that our pond maintenance has really kind of fallen off, and we need to get that back up. So they've been able to focus a lot on stormwater projects, which has been super helpful. Our 4 seasonal employees that came back, 2 of them were here last summer. We were able to hire 2 more, and they've been great helping us mowing. As we know, mowing has been nonstop this summer with all the rain. Grass is growing like crazy. We were able to get new water treatment plant meters up at the water plant. That is super helpful. So now we have more accurate reports up there coming out of effluent and influent metering. We had old style prop meters, which aren't as accurate as we were hoping, and we were able to upgrade it to the newest style mag meters, which is just going to give us more accurate water usage. We're also going to be overhauling our SCADA, which is the program that runs the entire water plant and the sanitary sewer system. So we're going to be able to upgrade that before the end of the year. And with that upgrade, it's going to be able to handle all of the growth in the future water plant and the growth coming in many years to come. So that's going to be super helpful, hopefully reduce a lot of nuanced callbacks that we have. And then Well 6 construction is that top building up there in that picture. Hopefully that will be done in the end of August or August timeframe. We're still waiting on a generator and some electrical components that have been out for a long time, but with that well going into service, we will be able to continue to grow in the south area and be able to serve those people with proper water pressure and fire protection as needed. So that should be all. Do you have any questions?
Very good. Questions for Brady? He runs the sexy part of the city. Infrastructure. It's good stuff. All right, seeing none, then we're back to you, Ms. Pollock.
I know. I am up next with Finance and Human Resources. So our department includes Finance, which is responsible for the general accounting, payroll, risk management, fixed assets, operational and capital budgeting. We do audit preparation, long-term financial planning, and we manage the debt and investment portfolios. Our Human Resources is responsible for all the employee benefits administration, employee recruitment, engagement, and retention. And our utility billing is responsible for our monthly utility billing cycle. They handle all of the customer service, water conservation efforts, and utility work orders. And all departments are responsible for carrying out the directive and policies of the City Council. Some of our budget pressures this year are focusing on our credit card processing fees. Currently, we're paying the fees that are associated with the use of credit cards when a resident pays their utility bill. So we're looking at our credit card payment processing provider to find a more user-friendly and a more reliable service. So staff is currently researching options to find the best service and value available, as these costs have been rising over the past few years. Future staffing needs, as the city grows, staffing needs will also continue to grow in our department. We anticipate that the Human Resources Division will need an additional staff member sometime between 2026 and 2028. So we continue to evaluate those needs annually for our department. State mandates. So PARA has changed their threshold of paying that benefit. Number of our part-time employees now being eligible for PARA. So them receiving that benefit is also an increased cost to the city. Earned sick and safe time started in 2024, which is a state mandate that requires us to provide paid time off for all employees. For every 30 hours they work, they get 1 hour of paid time off. So this puts stress on our part-time staff coverage and increases staffing costs. And the state continues to change the requirements of this mandate. They most recently eliminated the paid on-call firefighters. So after first quarter, after we already implemented it, now they're saying no. So now we gotta backtrack and change that. There are also new laws expected to go in effect in 2026, which will provide paid time off to employees for long-term absence due to illness and or taking care of family members with an illness. So originally they were projecting a 0.7% payroll tax to run this program, but they've already increased that to a 0.88%. So these costs will have to be discussed and evaluated and will either be charged back to the employee or absorbed by the city. Cost savings and efficiencies. The city continues to migrate to ACH payments for our vendors. This saves staff time by not running as many checks. It eliminates the positive pay process at the bank and the postage to mail out those payments. We also implemented a deposit recapture process this year, which allows us to scan the checks that come in the mail, and they can directly go to the bank for deposit, so that eliminates the need to have staff take those deposits to the bank, and the money is there sooner. Staff continues to be vigilant against fraud attempts, which have been high in recent months. Water conservation efforts. Our finance specialists continue to reach out to residents every month to notify them of possible leaks in their homes. They get a report after meter reading, which will tell if there's continuous usage. So they send out letters to try and help them to be aware of any possible leaks to save water. Beginning next month, residents will see a graph on their utility bill that will show the change in their water usage from month to month. So we're hoping to give residents that visual message to see how much water they're using when they're irrigating in the summer months, to see that graph really spike compared to what they're doing in the winter. The communications department has created a postcard for us, so we send out to our top 200 users in the summer to make them aware that they're among the highest users in the city. And we received a grant this year for $35,000 from the Met Council to provide irrigation controllers and appliance rebates to our residents over the next 2 years. We have also partnered with Rockio, who is a maker of one of the irrigation controllers that they can, residents can receive a discount on those controllers. Budgeting software, so we've been able to integrate our operational budgeting into our recently upgraded financial management system, which saved us $11,000 this year. Our department's spotlights include the new technology, which I just mentioned, that financial management system, which has already helped us to save a large amount of money. 2 weeks ago is when we went live with our upgrade. This upgrade transitioned us from a server-based software to the cloud and has provided our department with better operational efficiencies. And we continue to look for new ways to be more efficient through the use of technology. We've had some major changes in staffing this year with the departure of our human resources manager. We hired finance manager Abby Kaber and reassigned the duties of one of our finance HR specialists, Angela Rivera, whose focus is now primarily on human resources. Dwight and Abby, our finance specialists, have been and Abby have been a huge support for our department during Laura, who is our other finance specialist, who is on maternity leave. So we're anxious to have her back with us, and we're continuing to count down the days to August 12th when she returns. So, awards. So the city received the GFOA Distinguished Budget Award this year for the 4th year in a row. And we also received the GFOA's Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting for the 15th year. So I thank you to staff and council for helping us to achieve these high honors, and I am open for questions if you have any.
Very good. Council, questions, comments for Ms. Pollock?
Good, thank you.
All right, seeing none.
All right, so we have Kendra Grawl, our communications and engagement.
Ms. Grawl, welcome.
Thank you, Trish. Good evening, Mayor and members of the council. Thank you for having us here tonight and learning more about communications and public engagement. So the communications department has 2 full-time employees, myself and our communications specialist, Paige Whalen. You can see her in this image. We work hard to increase accessibility, approachability, and transparency of the city's services, decisions, and impact on the community. Beyond our specific department, I want to say that everyone on the City of Victoria staff team has a hand in communications, as well as sharing information about the city on a daily basis. With that in mind, we work to cultivate a communications mindset and provide resources and services to all of our departments as an internal service. Whether a project is initiated by another department or communications, our team here at the city is truly collaborative and naturally talented with communications. So I'd like to give credit to all of them for communications work as well, and we really appreciate all that they do as well as what you do. As you've been hearing tonight, there are quite a few things that are probably keeping people up at night in terms of budget, but all those things also keep us up at night because we want to make sure that we're communicating about them as well. So nothing we do is in a silo, and we rely on everyone else as much as they rely on us. So as far as budget pressures go, we still have our main budget pressures like population increase and inflation. But we're just going to keep on seeing those as issues as our population increases. We just know that we also need to increase our communications efforts, including the channels, services, and materials provided. But our main budget pressure really just comes down to that there are not enough hours in the day for our department, especially during the summer as we prepare for events and attend them. So again, another reason that we really rely on other departments, especially in terms of cost savings and efficiencies. So to save costs and create efficiencies in our department, we focus on prioritizing our in-house expertise and partnering with our community. So our services can be used for a lot of different initiatives. So we focus on our key priority areas, especially in the strategic plan. We do most of our communications and engagement in-house, and we're always looking for ways we can streamline our work. We also help others streamline their work as well, especially in regards to digital resources that we create and pathways on our website. Also, we have been kind of tapping into other departments as well. So shout out to Zach Peglow for his work on our aerial images. He is one of our firefighters and our facilities specialist, and he's been doing a great job this summer capturing a lot of those events we've been going to, as well as some of those project areas that we're focusing on. And last but certainly not least, we have a lot of really amazing partners that care about our community here in Victoria. We're able to partner with them to amplify our efforts, especially in regards to our events. I have a list up on the slide deck of some of our community partners over the last year. Their support comes in the form of everything from monetary support, like the Parks and Recreation summer sponsors, to hosting free fun activities at our events like the Light Up Victoria partners, or offering expert time like the Lowry Nature Center for their educational programs. And so some of our communication spotlights for the past year. Our first is that we've hosted even more events and participated in even more programs this past year than ever before. We had a record number of attendees at our Light Up Victoria event in December, and we're looking forward to seeing even more community members there this coming year. We had an amazing class attend our Victoria Academy program this year, and we even extended the times and added another session to that program to be able to cover all of the great things we do at the city. We've also been out and about at many of our community events, including classic car nights and the farmers market this year, to talk about some of the bigger topics we have coming up, like transportation projects, water conservation and protection, and the new fire station. And as you can probably hear, I'm losing my voice because we've been to so many events. But you've heard this mentioned in other presentations this evening. But we've also been working really hard to create accessible digital resources, like easier ways to report concerns to the city and find the information people need quickly. So maybe our most exciting spotlight is our new website layout that focuses on improving usability, accessibility, and our mobile experience. Check it out at www.victoriamin.gov for the full experience. My personal favorite is definitely the mobile experience on it. It's just way easier to find information and get to what you need quickly. And then our final spotlight is an award we recently won last week, which was a silver award in the Minnesota Association for Government Communicators annual award program for our transportation legislative handout and work. And I just wanted to say thank you so much for all your support, and we're looking forward to 2025. I stand for questions.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions for Kendra? Awesome, great work. I hear all the time how good we do, what a great job we do on communications here, so I appreciate that. All right.
That concludes our presentations for this evening.
All right, very good. Council, we don't need to take any action on this item this evening, so unless there's any other further comments or questions for Ms. Pollock, we will entertain a motion to adjourn the workshop.
Motion to adjourn the workshop?
Can I get a second? Second. We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We stand adjourned. We'll reconvene in about